So many of you, okay, all of you know that I'm married to a musician, obviously now. A pretty good one at that, and she's got perfect pitch. But that's not what I want to talk about. Because of this musician, songs come up occasionally in our household. And you know, because of that, there's a song for everything. So, there's two groups of people here tonight, I can tell. One group is saying, oh, he's going to sing something. The other group's saying, oh, he's going to sing something. So some of you are going to be happy and some of you aren't going to be happy. But anyways, I just returned from an all-expenses paid trip to Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been home long enough to carry in the bags, see some of my kids, and have a quick meal. I haven't even seen them all yet. So while I was on this all-expense paid, I'm going to call it a workation, I was listening to music, and the Andy Williams rendition of The Second Time Around came on, the song The Second Time Around. Now, this isn't your typical love song. It's certainly not your typical testimony song. But it had some interesting lyrics that struck me somehow. So I want to mention those. So a couple of the lines are, the first one here is, love is lovelier the second time around. And another line that comes up in there is, love's more comfortable the second time you fall. I'm pretty sure the second time around in the song is not really what we want to talk about tonight. But it struck me in a different sense, and I'll leave you with that thought for the moment, and I'll come back to it. So Tracy and I met about 30 years ago. We started dating about 21 years ago, and got married about 20 years ago. Yes, 20 years this May. And we lived happily ever after, right? Well, yes and no. We've had our struggles. Many of you know Tracy's story. And we've spent several years working through her struggles and challenges. To be honest, she worked through them more than I did, but I tried to support her in any way that I could. But it can be hard to understand when you haven't gone through something exactly. She had made some pretty good progress, but we were, she had made a lot of progress, but we were finally ready for some more progress and enter healing of the heart. So we were able to spend a week with them. So we scheduled our visit. We started the paperwork, filled out the questionnaire, all the pain words, and we went through this, and I was like, yeah, I don't really have any pain words. I told Tracy that I was Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. I did, didn't I? This is true. I told her that. But I was certainly ready for healing the heart to help her and to help us in any case. Well, of course, Mary Poppins, that's not quite the truth. I didn't have pain words associated with many of the questions that we answered. Actually, it turns out I didn't associate the pain in my life properly to accurately assign things. So we started our sessions. We got to talking about stuff. Our stories, our recent church change, our recent marriage struggles. We had hit a rough patch. We were kind of like roommates, cold and walled off to each other emotionally. That's not really fun. Of course, much had me, I didn't quite realize all this and put all the pieces together. And I imagine I wasn't really helping the situation. As we talked, we started detailing what was going on with us and where we had been and how we got to where we were. And I remember, Mary Poppins, everything's perfect for me, right? In short, we had become the collateral damage of I'm going to say a situation or an internal struggle at a previous church. Yeah, so we changed churches and put that behind us. All done. So we thought. But it had become a wall between us. Chuck and Diane patiently listened as we detailed the saga. It had been so hurtful that speaking about it made my blood pressure go up. My face was flushed, my heart was racing. We got the whole shooting match going here. It was awful living through it the first time. The aftermath of it was still bad, and even recounting it was unpleasant and unnerving at least. So it turns out we had been the recipients of a very unhealthy dose of spiritual abuse. Wow, this was news to me. Light bulb. That was aha moment number one. As we pieced the puzzle together, we finally realized that the pain caused by this spiritual abuse situation for Tracy was the same pain that she had experienced from the abusive situation she had as a child. Of course, I had no idea. I could only process the coldness and emotional shutdown from her as a rejection of me due to the previous church situation in which we had not seemed to be on the same page. As I mentioned, roommates, quarreling ones at that. So that was our second light bulb, why we were in that situation. Well, why didn't you just say so? Is my first thought of that. But that moment of that day, a burden was truly lifted from my heart and mind. It was almost physical, that feeling of just, wow, it's gone. It makes sense now. Of course, we learned an incredible amount more about ourselves and our relationship during that week. So, back to the song lyrics, the second time around. Here we are now. This is our second time around, or maybe a second chance to know each other better, to begin building on what we had started about 18 years ago at that time. We also recently characterized our marriage as comfortable. I'm not sure if this came as an epiphany or a disappointment, but we're certainly closer to each other, and we can relax and trust each other and communicate better. Another lyric that was in the song, which is maybe, another lyric which is in the song, which is maybe even more striking, is the line that says, "Who can say what led us to this miracle we've found?" Well, this miracle for us is Christ and the healing work that only He can do on the hearts of imperfect people living in a fallen world. Now we live happily ever after, right? No, not exactly. That old sin nature still gets in our way occasionally. 1 Peter 3:7 was a key verse for me, for us, well, for me that week. It just so happened I wrote it down on page 37 of the workbook, so I can remember it 2 years later. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, because they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. My mission after healing of the heart has been to live in an understanding way. That's the part of the verse that struck me that week. Do I always do this? No. But when I do, life is better. I do have to rely on Christ to live this way, and I need to be reminded of this often. Thinking through this testimony here has been a good exercise and reminder for me. So, one thing, I need to leave work at work and focus on home when I'm there. I need to put down the iPhone and listen. She's going to cheer in a minute. I need to put down the magazine, see these wonderful. Put down the magazine and look at her when she's speaking to me. Let her speak with me and not at me. I need to put down the book, whatever the book is, because her story is more important than whatever knowledge I'm trying to glean from my endless supply of books. So thank you for all for listening. Thank you again, Chuck and Diane, for the time you spent with us and the opportunity to share it.
Thank you for watching this video. We hope it brings encouragement to your heart today. Through the power of Jesus Christ, your life and your marriage can be changed. He is healing the brokenhearted and setting the captives free.
Even if you think it's impossible, give us a call at 810-245-7045, or you can email us contact@healingoftheheart, that's healingoftheheart, all one word, .net. Thank you.